All right, we invite you to stand up and just have a good time with this one. Yes. Those lyrics, we got new lyrics for you today. We're gonna have fun. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here at Namasté,
standing face to face.
it's something about when say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps us coming back.
We're singing here in this place. We're standing face to face. All right, here we go, one more time.
We're gonna try that again. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Here in this place, we're standing face to face. Something about we say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps us coming back.
Should we do that one more time? One more time.
1, 2, 3. Here in this place, we're standing face to face. Something about we say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what. That's exactly what. That's exactly what keeps us coming back. Oh yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Debbie Ann. I am a practitioner here at Namasté. Glad you could join us online or here in our beautiful space. If you are new, we are so glad you are here with us. And for those of you who keep coming, welcome back. We are a radically welcoming community. We believe all paths lead to awakening. We are here collectively that love is the nature of who we already are. You should have received a prayer card when you walked in. If you want your prayers included in the practitioner's prayers this week, please fill out a prayer card. If you did not receive one, one of our welcome team will give you one so that you can fill it out. And it's Women's History Month, and I am going to read a passage about that. In 2021, Osaka was 23 and playing in the French Open. She stated in a tweet she would want to participate in post-match news conferences to protect her mental health, citing how the press repeatedly asked questions that bring doubt into her and other athletes' minds. She said, "Here in Paris, I was already feeling vulnerable and anxious, so I thought it was better to exercise self-care and skip the press conferences." The organizers fined her $15,000 for not fulfilling media obligations and threatened to expel her from the tournament. A few days later, Osaka withdrew from the French Open, citing mental health concerns. It was the first time in a professional tennis match where a major star withdrew without a physical injury. Many people, including other athletes, were unsupportive and upset, attacking Osaka in the press. Osaka took to Instagram and explained her decision, writing, "The truth is that I have suffered long bouts of depression since the US Open in 2018, and I have really had a hard time coping with that. And I think now the best thing for the tournament, the other players, and my well-being is that I withdraw so that everyone can get back to focusing on the tennis going on in Paris." Osaka offered to speak with the tournament organizers about changing the media rules, which she argued were outdated. Osaka returned to tennis, lighting the Olympic cauldron at the postponed 2020 Summer Games. Later that year, she entered the US Open Championships, but lost in the third round, saying, "I guess we're all dealing with some stuff, but I know that I'm dealing with some stuff." Osaka continued to speak openly about her struggles with mental health. She said she was trying to figure out what to do and might take a break from tennis. Since coming forward with her own struggles, Osaka has inspired countless athletes to speak about their struggles with mental health. Female athletes in particular felt empowered by Osaka's bravery. Writing in the New York Times, reporter Alan Blinder argued, her decision was also a potent example of a movement among elite athletes to challenge the age-old notion that they are and must be as peerless in mind as they are in body, untroubled by the scourge of mental illness. Since coming forward about her own struggles, Osaka has inspired countless athletes to speak about their struggles with mental health. Her decision was a potent example of a movement among elite athletes to challenge that age-old notion that they are and must be peerless. So, a little bit about Women's History Month. And the next slide that we are going to do is we are going to talk about who we are. And I'd like you to read this with me. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize that we are one. Namaste. Now back to our illustrious music team.
Illustrious, nice. As you're able to, please stand and join us in our welcoming congregational hymn, We Come Together. We'll do it as is.
Hopefully.
We do clap, yeah, you got it. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves me and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
Come together.
We come together. We come together.
We come together.
In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Oh, lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together now. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, Namaste, I bow to you. Feel that love in the sanctuary. Oh, lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come
of love.
We come together in the name of love. Yes, yes. I'm Jackie Pearson,
I'm Carol Ann Perini.
and together we make Namasté and Seal Beach. So, at this point in time, I'm going to ask Candace, our Minister of Support, to bring the candle down. And as she brings this candle down, let us reflect on that light which shines in and through each of us. We are that light. As she's lighting the candle, concentrate on what that means to you, how that settles you into that divine being that you are.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, yes, I am. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
And Carol Ann will read the affirmation of who we are.
And together we say, there is only one life. This life is God's life. This life is perfect. This life is my life now.
Yes, yes, let's breathe into this moment, this divine moment of oneness, as we come together to create a new spiritual community. That community starts within each and every one of us. That enlightenment starts in each and every one. We give thanks what is about to take place today, the conversation between Reverend Bobby and Reverend John, for our hearts and our ears to hear, for this message of divine love and this divine oneness to seep in and through each of us. We breathe this in with love and appreciation, and so it is. And I invite the bots from Namasté and Seal Beach to come on up. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Seal Beach.
And good afternoon, Namaste.
As we come together for our Sunday service, we invite you to stand up, step into the aisles, and greet one another.
And when the music stops, come back to your seat.
seats.
Let's get back to our seats. Thank you, please. Order, order in the house.
And so it is at this time, while we are in our seats, that we invite you to join us in reading our collaboration mission statement. Through mindful and respectful exploration, we are creating a healthier foundation that supports and engages a whole beloved community equipped to launch new strategies for a thriving spiritual center.
Yay.
Don't you like the sound of that?
Yeah.
Thriving spiritual center.
Amen.
And so how do we do this? We awaken to the truths of our lives. We realize how these truths play out. We are transforming our lives. We repeat this process over and over, each time at a deeper level. Power statements: we are a place of connection, healing, and unity. We are Seal Beach and Namasté. And this stuff works.
It really does, let me tell you.
Now, in case you missed the notice, today is our Collaborative Sunday, and immediately following service, we invite you to go out into the fellowship hall, have a bite to eat, and then we'll go into our town hall meeting where we'll have updates from Chris Schreiber and Keith Watanabe on the process that we've been going through as far as exploring unification.
And this Wednesday, we have an opportunity to listen to and chat with Paul Young, I believe,
Yep.
who wrote The Shack. How many wrote The Shack about 10, 20 years ago? This is an opportunity to have a conversation with him. Jeff Schlitt hosts this every fourth Wednesday. And that's this Wednesday on the 22nd. You can sign up on our newsletter and also on
our
Namasté's newsletter. It's a good place to go.
It's
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock on Zoom,
Yep.
and it's a powerful story of his spiritual journey. It was also a movie, in case you saw the movie.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then we remind you that every weekday morning at 7 a.m. you may join the practitioners as they create a place for meditation, connection, and prayer. You can dial in on your phone or join through Zoom. And then on the second Wednesday of the month, we have the Safe Place, our grief support group. And lastly, we have a few thank yous.
Well, thank you to all the people who brought food, all the people who prepared it and put it together and has it ready for us after service.
And thank you to all those that worked together to create this collaborative service. And finally, for the fellowship team and the ELT team who put together the town hall presentation you will see after service.
You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take, bless the progress that you've made. The reason you live is found in every gift you give. Love your life and love your dreams. Amazing, oh amazing, you will do amazing things. And all the places you will go, and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't have to know that right now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. Yes, you will. Amazing, oh amazing, you will do, have done amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Oh.
Boundaries build bridges. And I pulled a quote from a couple of people that you might know, Winona and Naomi Judd. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I'm very excited about today's topic. Our two communities are diligently working to build bridges in order for each of us to teach one another. I said teach, but I wrote reach. What an amazing task we have set out for ourselves. How courageous we are that we should agree to such an adventure. Courageous, right? In my research, I found something I would like to share with you, written by His Holiness, the esteemed Dalai Lama. He says this: when we see pictures of our blue planet from space, there are no boundaries. It's a vivid illustration of the oneness of humanity. This is why we have to make the well-being of humanity our primary concern. He goes on to say, in today's reality, the only way of resolving differences is through dialogue and compromise, through human understanding and humility. Perhaps the most important factors that inhibit us are short-sightedness, narrow-mindedness, and selfishness, and I have been guilty of all three of them at times. The challenge for each of us is to help ourselves transcend self-interest and the immediate interests of our own groups in order to collaborate and promote shared happiness. Shared happiness. It seems like a grand idea, but I feel happiness in this community. Our two communities coming together. I feel joyful. I had been trained as a youngster that putting my own needs before others was selfish, and what that training did was to cause me to take a step back, to be quiet when I had a thought, to not speak up even when requested.
Often my response was, "That's fine." The result was that I was not able to take hold of what was important to me. I gave myself and my time away. In our communities, we are taking on a new way of being with one another. In order for us to grow together, we are now being encouraged to speak up and say what is going on for us. And I admit it's still hard. I'm often stymied by that offer. But here is the gift. When I say what is up for me, when I'm being vulnerable, I am open and available to a deeper friendship, a deeper connection. You can trust that I will tell you the truth, and when I stand in the beauty that is me, the North Star of Spirit that is in me, I am building my side of the bridge. Our communities have begun to grow together. We are watching one another blossom, and the fragrance from where I stand is sweet and tender. We are trusting ourselves, and in doing so, we are beginning to trust one another. As we do, we will have an opportunity to meet one another at the top of that bridge. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mind. I think it's time. I trust it is time.
Thank you, Carol Ann. My heart closed tight around the lessons that had been taught throughout my childhood. I was determined not to let any other thoughts enter the sacred heart space, so I thought. I had developed boundaries, and I was going to protect them at any cost. Well, the cost was developing into my wiggling around inside like a bucket of worms. Nice visual. There was no room for, nor did I need a bridge, or so I thought. Some of you may remember the song, "Like a Bridge Over Troubled Water." Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind, by Simon and Garfunkel. The waters of change are stirring. As I looked back at my childhood front porch, I was off to my first big adventure, the military. The boundaries of the familiar neighborhood became quite clear. A bridge was developing that would always lead me back home. That safe place of familiar smells, my nephews living only a few doors down from me, and of course, my parents. Fast forward, my firstborn going off to college. Mommy will always be here, the bridge of the heartstrings. Fast forward, me being introduced to science of mind. The boundaries of my childhood teaching in the Southern Baptist faith had built such unknown boundaries to spirit that I was afraid to see the bridge of clarity revealing itself in front of me. The heart pulled, I tossed. I wanted the safety of the familiar, not realizing she was there all the time, rocking me softly in those sacred arms of love. Fast forward, here we are today, building the bridge from the boundaries of two unique yet the same, or as my beloved first senior minister, Reverend Andriette, would say, simultaneously at the same time. Just to bring forth the magnitude of a situation, this calls for just that, simultaneously at the same time. We are in the midst of building that uniquely divine bridge of creating a community that works for everyone. The boundaries of two communities building as one. We've got this. Gaps may show up in that bridge, but we have the tools to repair and renew. You, my beloved community, are my bridge from the imagination of boundaries. You are, we are, that which Spirit calls forth from the very depths of our being to step up and build this sacred bridge. It all starts deep within. That stirring of knowing change is in the wind. Such a divine fellowship is erupting. It calls forth for such a time as this.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up, never measure up.
And am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am hurt when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth. In you I find my identity. Oh, oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. And you say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am hurt when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe.
Taking all I am, now I'm laying it at your feet. Ooh. You have every failure, and you'll have every victory. Ooh.
Yeah, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. And you say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am hurt when I'm falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Yes, I believe, oh, I believe. Yes, I believe what you say of me. And I believe.
I believe.
How do you like your desk, John?
Say that again?
How do you like your desk?
I like it.
Do you like
it's a
it?
nice addition.
Thank you. We could just sit here all day, right? Today's talk, so let me just grab a little tool we have over here. Boundaries build bridges. We're going to talk about trust today. Does that sound good?
Rich. It's so rich.
It's so rich. I think Ferris Bueller said it's so choice.
I like it.
You like that? What is belonging? True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are.
Now imagine a community that creates a sacred space where you could step boldly and safely into truly being who you are, who you have come here to be.
So today we're going to talk about trust, but what does trust have to do with belonging? What does trust have to do with belonging? So what's interesting about trust is oftentimes we trust in things we can see. We trust in things that we know. We trust when things happen the way that we're really, really comfortable with. Oh, I know that's going to happen next. I'm totally in. And then it doesn't exactly happen the way we thought. There are little curves and twists and a host of things. But what's really the only thing we have in life is there is a mystery of life. And the mystery of life is where we grow. If everything just keeps happening the way we expect, are we growing? The one thing we do know is that mystery is the gift in life. That's one of the gifts. So trust is an absolute imperative on our spiritual journey.
And you can ask yourself, how much do I trust this thing called life and the universe? And there's a correlation between that and the quality of your spiritual practice. At least that's what I've discovered.
I would probably agree. Now, there's some things associated with trust, and Brene Brown, who's like the master of vulnerability, the master of trusting in what we don't know is going to happen. She's identified a list of attributes that are up there. I'm going to turn this so John can see where we're at. Can you see it?
Yep.
So we're going to kind of list out what these mean, because there are two types of trust. There's trust in others, and there's trust in myself. So when it comes to trusting others, boundaries is you respect my boundaries, and when you're not clear about what's okay and not okay, you ask. You're willing to say no. That's what boundaries mean.
Reliability, you do what you say you will do. This means staying aware of your competencies and limitations so you don't overpromise and are able to deliver on commitments and balance competing priorities.
Accountability with others. You own your mistakes, you apologize, and you make amends.
Vault. You don't share information or experiences that are not yours to share. I need to know that my confidences are kept and that you're not sharing with me any information about other people that should be confidential.
Integrity. You choose courage over comfort. You choose what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy. And you choose to practice your values rather than simply professing them.
Non-judgment. I can ask for what I need, and you can ask for what you need. We can talk about how we feel without judgment.
Generosity. You extend the most generous interpretation possible to the intention, words, and actions of others.
Bobby and I decided we could have a talk on each one of these topics, or several talks on just one of them. There's so much juiciness here.
Oh, I would agree.
So then we have to look at the self-trust with the same questions, but make it personal for us, and to ask those harder questions. So for boundaries, did I respect my own boundaries? Was I clear about what's okay and what's not okay?
Reliable. Was I reliable? Did I do what I said I was going to do?
Accountability. Did I hold myself accountable?
The vault. Did I respect the vault, and did I share appropriately?
Integrity. Did I act from my integrity?
Non-judgment. Did I ask for what I needed? Was I non-judgmental about needing help?
And generosity, and this may be one of the hardest. Was I generous toward myself?
As you can see, there's a way we trust others, but there's a way we trust ourselves. And I don't know that either one is easy. Would you agree? So I was thinking about two stories. And I've decided on a different one. You know, you're sitting there and you're processing, you're like, oh, come on, not that one. Why that one? So this last year, I think most of you know, if you've been in this community or at Seal Beach for the last couple of years, so in January of last year, I lost two brothers. It was very traumatic, the loss of them. What was even more interesting was the effect it had between me and my father. We have always had a challenging relationship, and I always felt that I didn't really matter to him, really. And it was difficult. Really nice guy, very charismatic. Everyone loves my father. Everyone but his kids. Actually, I really do like my father, and I love him. One of the things that came out of losing my brothers was the fact that I felt not respected. I felt that it didn't matter that I had lost brothers. It mattered to him that he lost a son or two sons. We ended up having a conversation, but before we had that conversation, I was processing it with my absolutely fantastic, fabulous therapist. I recommend it to all of you. The thing that came out of it is that there were two things that I was not paying attention to. My boundaries. What my dad thinks of me is none of my business. If I matter to my dad, it's none of my business. But what I was doing in the boundary world was I was compromising me to maintain a connection with him. The second thing that I was doing was I wasn't really seeing what he was really bringing to our relationship, which it may not be what I want, but I wasn't really seeing him for who he is, his own journey, his own life. And for me to expect certain things from him was impossible and no longer necessary. So we had the conversation, and I brought the boundary of, this is what I need, this is what I would like, can you give that? The answer back was yes, some of it. And it was up to me whether or not to accept that or not. The second thing is can I be generous towards what I thought his intentions were? His intentions were, he's in pain too, and he couldn't necessarily see past that. Can I be generous towards that? And the answer was, yes, I can. When that happened, the relationship I have had with him for 60 years shifted.
Thank you.
Yes.
And so for me, the last 4 years have been a period of constantly setting new boundaries. Having had a center for 25 years with my wife as co-pastor, when we left, you can imagine there were a whole bunch of new boundaries that had to be set about what do we want together. Where are we going together? What does that look like? And so it forced us to really go into some deep questions. And then we had the bright idea to both become interim ministers. And do you think that might have set up some new questions and answers about boundaries? And where are we going from here? Who does what? How is this going to work? So we've been, for 4 years, in the midst of constantly looking at this and negotiating and trying to figure out who we have come here to be, and dropping into that self-inquiry and asking each other, well, how does this sound to you? And just feeling that out. And the other part is to recognize I'm in my early 70s now, and there's a little thing that comes up and says, notice this, things are different now. You have to start paying deeper attention to what's going on in your health, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of those things. And so I know that in terms of boundaries, that I cannot set a boundary on chocolate. I can't trust myself in the face of chocolate. And so for me to look at that, I have to know a way of moving through that. And so what I've decided I have to do is to start tracking everything that goes into my mouth. And what that will do for me, just the tracking of it, and this is what I learned as a consultant, if you want to manage it, you have to measure it. Very simple. I don't have to have any judgment around it. I just have to write down what the heck I'm eating. And that will establish a boundary for me, which is a bridge to greater health, greater physical health, emotional and spiritual health. Because a funny thing happens when you start crossing that bridge, all sorts of wonderful things start to happen if you pay attention. The other part of that is, I would say, in the past 6 months, I've done some of the deepest spiritual work that I've done in my life. Part of that was called memory reconsolidation. If you don't know what that is, it's shadow work. And what that has caused me to do is to reframe and reset boundaries that I thought I had to live by. Boundaries that weren't mine, but were established by my father, or by religion, or by culture. And to look at those really clearly and say, wait a minute, those can no longer run my life. I'm going to reframe all of that and make a decision about who I've really come here to be on a new way of looking at my life. And so setting those new boundaries has been freeing for me to come to this place and really move into appreciation, because I'm generous with the most wide interpretation of what my life was in the past.
So boundaries are not walls, are they? No, it's quite the opposite, isn't it? Sometimes we think a boundary speak what we need, and we speak it from a place of integrity and authenticity. In today's talk, one of the things we're talking about specifically is we also do it with intention that you're going to tell me what you need, that we're going to be generous with one another, that we care about one another, and we're not trying to hurt one another. And sometimes that means that we say things that are unclear and fuzzy, and it's important to get clear on those things with each other in our communication. Now, Reverend Angel Kyoto says, spiritual tradition is comfortable with paradox, whereas many political movements are not. But all truth is a paradox. What is it to live in a space of transformative change is to engender greater and greater comfort with paradox. Well, that just doesn't feel comfy, does it? So that paradox becomes something we are not only acknowledge, but also live more truthfully. We discover that truth is relationship, and relationship is truth. The thing about this paradox is that we live in paradox every moment. What we think is going on up here is not what's going on out here. It's just what's going on in here. But when we are conscious and present, when we have boundaries, we don't have to worry so much about what's going on out here because we express what we need. We see what we need. We're conscious of what we need, and it isn't what we need from others. It's what we need for a situation to unfold in integrity, right? And if someone cannot give us what we need, we get to decide, this is what I need in a situation. If it's incumbent upon someone else, I get to decide if that relationship goes forward in a particular way or not. There's the choice. Sometimes we walk away from relationships. That's what we do. Because we find that the relationship, I would say, has fulfilled its lesson within us. Not that it may not work, but the lesson is over. Because the universe only allows us to sit and be in a place for so long until we learn what we need to learn.
To be who we've come here to be. That's very different. And it causes us to look seriously at spiritual community and what does it really mean. And as we've examined in our exploration teams, that things have fundamentally changed in terms of spiritual community. And it's no longer a place where the role of the minister may be to be a shepherd to the sheep and keep everybody calm and together and comfortable, and to be comfortable. And for this spiritual community to really grow and deepen, to become who you've come here to be, we have to be in the paradox of being at ease with discomfort. At ease with discomfort. And that's a challenge because we've got to develop skills to go there.
Are you comfortable with unease?
Not all the time.
Yeah, me either. There are places I'm comfortable with. I love the mystery because I don't know what's going to unfold. And
so,
sometimes.
And so there's always uncertainty. You know, every day things are changing. We saw in the pandemic, we may have been living from a certain paradigm or rules or values, and then there was something imposed on us with masks and vaccinations, which engendered conversations about misogyny, homophobia, financial insecurity. All of these things rose up, and these boundaries were created for society at large. And you know what? All of those boundaries have brought us to this place today to sit here together without masks on and to be together because of those boundaries. They created a bridge from where we were to where we are right now.
It's interesting, too, because what has happened over the last 3 years has invited us to sit and listen in discomfort to opinions and stories that make us uncomfortable, to things that we may say, no way is that true. And yet it's really, the truth is not ours to determine of whether it is true or not. We get to sit with folks who are dealing with the effects of racism and sexism and homophobia and misogyny. We get to sit and have those or listen to those experiences, and rather than debate whether they're true or not, we get to listen. And we get to see if what truth in there is something for me to change and be part of the change in the world.
And to give the most generous interpretation of what you're hearing. That's the hard part. That's where the skills come in.
And what we've also noticed, too, in this movement is we have this amazing philosophy that definitely works and it changes lives. But what's missing, at least what we've identified, is we don't always have the competencies to apply it. We may be looking through a lens of trauma. We may be looking, and that trauma could be anything from family trauma, relational trauma, religious trauma, racial trauma. All of that can affect how we see things and how we hear things.
And to be open to recognizing where you're at. You can have the awareness of, having to have a difficult conversation and be at a loss to how in the world do I proceed. And that takes practice.
Brene Brown said, "A relationship is only a trusting relationship if you can assume the most generous thing about my words." I've been having this all week. I'm just saying. My words, my intentions, and behaviors, and then check in with me. This means that if we make a mistake, others will be upfront about it, but assume we have good intentions. Is that just the toughest thing to practice? That when someone comes to us and says, "I'm struggling with this," do we immediately go on the defensive because, man, doesn't it feel awful to be wrong? Or to feel like somehow I caused harm? Or maybe I'm not aware I caused harm, so I couldn't have caused harm, because there's no way I would cause harm. Sometimes I cause harm so unconsciously. We cannot be perfect in that. Can we offer up? Can you imagine a community where generosity like that comes in? Where if you say something and I'm hurt by it, that I pause and ask you what you meant by that, and or express, that comment, "It hurt. I'm not sure if it's me, but it hurt." And we talked through it.
Yes, I can. I can imagine that community. And what it requires is a willingness on everybody's part to sign up for that. And that is where the rubber meets the road. Do we have the willingness to step into the next iteration of who we have come here to be? No one's asking to change anyone, but there's something so much greater within each of us. We have such a small idea of what that is. And part of this is really to challenge ourselves with the idea that there's so much more to us that we can imagine. And when we can move into that place, then we do our spiritual mind treatment, and the results are incredible. It's a shift in consciousness that opens wide our understanding of that field of unlimited possibilities. Because right now, what does that mean? Field of unlimited possibilities. I can't imagine. But when we can truly move into that greater idea about who we are, and in a community that can help us to recognize that, things change. We're talking about community transformation, not just individual transformation.
One of the things, again, Reverend Angel Kyoto quotes Bruce Lee being the famous martial artist, and Bruce Lee said this, "Under duress, we do not rise to our expectations. We fall to our level of training." Does that give you a sense of, maybe I could use a little training? Right? So I think the question is, John, this one right here on your own sheet, so I'm going to stand up and use a mic. Would you ask that question?
Sure. Where in my life, meaning your life, where in my life can I bring a greater experience of boundaries and generosity? So this is where you can think about that and identify that. And Reverend Bobby has a microphone, and you can speak to that if you feel comfortable. Eileen C. Davis.
I hate to be self-centered, but the first thought was begin at home. Begin with me, my generosity, and being kind to myself, and then that will spill over.
Thank you, Eileen. Where in my life?
Where in my life can I bring a greater experience of boundaries and generosity?
Yes, at home as well with my wife and kids.
Right? Yes. Where in my life?
Boundaries, according to our Brene Brown's definition, you respect my boundaries, and when you're not clear about what's okay and not okay, you ask. You're willing to say no. From the self, it's, do I respect my own boundaries? Was I clear about what's okay and what's not okay? And generosity, was I generous toward myself? Marjorie.
I'm going to kind of second Eileen C. Davis. Being a recovering perfectionist, I can be very hard on myself. And I'm getting better, but I know I could get better yet.
Takes a moment, yes?
I guess I've lived a lot of my life out of fear of speaking for fear of somebody not liking what I said. So talking, boundaries that way. So for me now, I'm more, I'm less inhibited. I'm just sort of more myself. And so then if somebody reacts, I'm so surprised, but then it goes into that kind of conversation you said, where a friend of mine said recently, because I ended a conversation and started another one with a client that was calling, and she said, she sent me a text right away, do you know that you hurt my feelings? And then, no, I didn't, I really didn't, but we resolved it, and we experienced more love in doing that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I can echo some things about boundaries with myself and expectations, but also with my friends, because we have established a certain give and take with each other, and expectations and trust is key. Trust is key. And also with my partner and with my teachers.
I have boundaries in that all of my current friends and loved ones know that when my children call, I will immediately hang up with that person and take my children's call, because they know that it's important to me, and I would know the same thing for them.
Have you noticed as you've gotten older, and maybe it's just me, that some of the boundaries that controlled my behavior have just dropped away, and I'm more likely, and I've seen this in other people as they get older, that can speak a little more frankly about what their needs are?
Did you say as we get older?
As we get wiser.
Because it's important too that when someone expresses that comment hurt me or something hurt me, how willing, able are we to just sit and listen to that without defending? Isn't like that the most difficult thing? And yet, one of my intentions this year is about listening. And it's about how I listen, and when someone brings something to me, can I listen? And I would say I'm a work in progress, right? Because listening is a practice.
Yes, you are.
I am a work in progress.
As am I.
We're working on his dancing right now.
There's another boundary.
I know, but not to get better.
Kath and I have actually had a conversation about learning how to dance.
Oh!
See? Old dogs.
Can learn.
Can learn.
New tricks. So, some things that we learned about ourselves through this, and by the way, the part of the story John told, I didn't know that part. So we talked about what we're going to talk about, so we both kind of brought up different stories. It isn't just about when someone says something to us or having boundaries with things that may seem rather typical, but how many times have you been in a class where you wanted to express something, or sitting here, but you're just too nervous to speak? We're just worry, right? I'm scared. I don't know if what I'm about to say is going to sound silly. It's going to sound stupid. It's going to not sound like people are going to look at me like I'm strange. Or this is way too intimate to share, right? I'm looking at all of you shaking your head, right? And the point of the matter is we do that as well.
And this is why we're developing these care groups, to create a safe place for us to begin to have these hard-to-have conversations, to begin to have the confidence and courage to speak what's in our hearts or in our heads, and know that we can do that without being attacked or vilified or ignored or fill in the blank. Whatever your own experience is in not giving your voice to something that you really want to speak to.
Don't we all walk in this room with an idea that I want to learn to trust myself? I want to learn to trust that what I believe I am, but come to believe, not just believe in it, but actually have an outward manifestation of what I believe I am. That what's in here has integrity with what's out here. Everyone's journey is that in itself, which means we are going to rub against each other in the wrong way sometimes. That's the hard part. Not just in this community, with our families, in our relationships, everywhere. So just imagine, I know some of you didn't, most of you did not speak up and say, this is where I want to have boundaries and generosity, but take a relationship you have right now and put it in your mind. Take one that you can. There might be one that you're like, oh yeah, I'm not ready for that one. Don't take that one. Take one that's a little bit more attainable right now. Put that relationship in your mind. And imagine that you had the boundaries that we're speaking of and the generosity of heart enough to know that you both probably have similar intentions. Not the intention to hurt, but an intention to love. And isn't that what we're learning here?
Emerson said, to be who you are in a world that is constantly trying to turn you into something else is the greatest success you can ever have.
And the last thing I wanted to say was, if I can see the path laid out in front of me, step by step, it's not my path. The path is made by the steps I take.
And
so it is.
Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to you right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. 'Cause something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful, oh, something wonderful happening to you right here, right now. Can't you feel it? I can feel it in my body, and I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart. It just won't let go. Something wonderful, oh, something wonderful happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to you right here, right now.
All this love inside, we can let it shine. Oh, 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 yeah, wonderful.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Sing that with me. Oh, 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 oh. Real simple, one word. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Oh, oh, something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Let's stay right there. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to you right here, right now. Sing it one last time if you want to feel that. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. One last time. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Oh, oh, something wonderful. Bless you.
Up, I just wanted to remind everyone that next month, for those of you that said, oh, but it's the third month we're here and the fourth month we're there, you know, those odd and even, we did something a little different because next month is John's last Sunday. So we'll be at Seal Beach next month on the third Sunday, so don't forget to not come here. For those of you that text me, I'll be at home in my pajamas by then, so I'm just saying.
Nice.
The second thing is the town hall is right through these doors right here, so after service, make sure you go that way and join us for an update on the collaboration and unification. So today, right now is our time for conscious giving. So we give to the community that feeds us. We give because we are abundant. No matter where we're at in life, there's an abundance that is us, that is always us, because we emanate from that beautiful place that is called the divine. The divine is in, through, and as everything. So as we give from that place of abundance, what we're saying is that I have plenty. We are learning that. I can hear Valerie laughing and knowing that's the most abundant laugh I've ever heard. Isn't it interesting how that just showed up? Exactly. So just take that gift that is you and place your hand on your heart today. I just invite you to do that. You can give to the many ways that you can give, both at Namasté and at Seal Beach, and how amazing it is that we get to stand here at the end of 3 years, what was so challenging, and stand here in a place of love and say, yes, we're not only just here, but we're here creating something beloved. So if you will say this with me, I'll just stop hitting the iPad and moving it all over. If you will say this affirmation prayer with me as the gift that you give, together we say, today I allow the divine radiance within me to shine forth. I open my heart and the light of spirit pours into my surroundings. Pause. Pours into my surroundings. Pours into my surroundings. And then we go. Blesses me, blesses others, and blesses the world. We affirm this is true, and so it is. So in that gratitude, we get to close and move into our time of ending this service. I see my little pups back there just being, oh yeah, it's really time to go. So if you are able, I just invite you to stand. And let us just thank our music team and our sound and streaming, our practitioners on the platform and in support, our Board of Trustees, presidents and Leadership Council presidents, our welcome teams, and for just a moment, there are some groups out there working really diligently to create something amazing. Let us thank those groups, our exploration teams. And then you've got Chris and Keith back there who are conspiring for sure, and thank them for what they do. So let us close. I know that life's amazing. Do you? Yes. But what is about life that you get to tell me is what else is so amazing about life? What is going on right here and right now? Something wonderful is happening through me right now. Wouldn't you like to just go everywhere with a band? What is this thing called? It is this thing called life. Where is life? Life is in my mind. And? Life is in my body. And? Life is all that I am. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And even bigger, life is all that we are. What am I going to do with it? I don't, wait a minute. That was a little weak. What am I going to do with it? And. How? Hold on, because this is all about the talk today. And? I'm not finding commitment in that, so let's try that one more time. And? Are we grateful to be here today? Are we grateful for the people in our lives that love us, that we love? Are we grateful for community? Are we grateful for family? Some of them. Are we grateful for friends? Are we grateful for each other here? So from that place of gratitude, on the count of 3, are you ready? You're going to say the last line. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, life.
I'm tumbling down. I choose joy. I choose joy. When the world stops spinning around, I choose joy. I choose joy. When my heart is hard to move, when my music's lost its groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy, joy.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy, I choose joy. Yeah. When the world stops spinning around, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my heart is hard to move, when my music's lost the groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy. What do I choose?
I choose joy.
Let's sing joy. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Sing it again. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Sing it again. Hey. Joy, 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 joy. I choose. Last time, come on now. Joy, 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 joy. Bring it home for us, Des. Come on.
I choose joy. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Join us for the town hall.